Good morning. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Reverend Jessica Clay, the lead minister here. My pronouns are she, her. Leading worship with me today are Reverend Jack Gady, Ilsa Perlich, Jean Doolittle, and Sue Kubik. We also send a warm welcome to our guest musician today, Jenny Klukin. Welcome, Jenny. Thank you for the gift of your music.
And I'm Reverend Jack Gady. My pronouns are he, him. Wherever you are in life, we're glad you have gathered here in this place, our spiritual home. We're here to help care for your children, bless them as they leave the nest, care for you as you make your way, and bear witness at the end of your lives. A few times per year, we ask members of our church to share more about their beliefs, and we call these This I Believe Sundays. Today is one of those Sundays.
We are here on this Sunday and every day to proclaim our values of justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, and most centrally, the value of love. We move from this love out into the world.
If you have a profound joy or sorrow today that you want shared in the meditation, we hope you'll write it on a little slip of paper and place it in that meditation bowl over there or in the Zoom chat box. Our community is stronger when we know how to celebrate and grieve with each other.
And a special welcome this morning to visitors. Through this I Believe Sunday, you will learn more about our wide theological tent. So thank you for making this brave move to spend your morning with us.
And a few quick announcements. A hearty thank you to Jean Doolittle and all of the auction volunteers who made last night's auction a success. There was many people who helped make that night a very, very good success. We raised a lot of money, a lot of fun, a lot of joy, and we don't know the exact total yet, but we will soon. Thank you for giving and gathering with us.
And what happens if I won an item, Jack?
Well, if you're the highest bidder and you haven't picked up your item yet, it'll be in the Wheatley room, back that hallway.
But what if I didn't have a chance to come last night because my social calendar was so full and I still want to shop?
There are still items available. The bazaar is still happening after both services. So there's handicrafts, there's plants, there's many things.
Amazing.
Please do check it out after the service.
I did just put the unicorn purse on hold. Is it for me? Is it for my toddler? Who knows?
Either one. For anyone looking to learn more about our church or ways to get involved or how to get connected, please join us next week for our Membership 2 class. That is at 12:30 p.m. Snacks and childcare are provided.
Welcome to church this morning. It is good to be together.
Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place, together we make it a holy place.
Good morning. My name is Ilsa Perlich. I use she, her pronouns. And I don't know how to use a microphone. In the introduction to each This I Believe service, it has always been referred to as one of WBUUC's oldest traditions. But just how old is it? As a card-carrying member of the archives team, I could unearth an answer, I think. I was going to look. This is a perennial question. I needed an answer. The WBUUC record keepers of the 50s and 60s had a tentative grasp of what events we might, as future members of WBUUC, might be interested in knowing. They counted adults, they counted children, visitors, hymnals, and chairs, but sometimes forgot to write down things like, first, This I Believe service. I personally would have found that entry very helpful when I was researching for the chalice lighting. Having spent the last year combing through reams of disintegrating and fading records, there are some events that we consistently found references to. The early members had lots of picnics, board meetings, budget meetings, and circle suppers. My favorite documents are the annual meeting minutes. These pages usually have an excellent summary of the highlights of the previous church year. Early on, we had decided to pull these specific reports together in chronological order. These binders have become our go-to references for little questions like, when did WBUUC have its first This I Believe service? The first time I found it mentioned was on a spreadsheet. Can it be possible that someone on the worship committee of WBUUC invented spreadsheets in the 1960s? It's a spreadsheet of Sunday services. It was located in the annual reports of 1963 and 1964. Amongst such sermon titles as The Gap Between the Ears, and Our Denomination, Why We Need It and Why It Needs Us, I found What I Believe, Traditional Lay People's Short Sermons. I did a little dance. The speakers on May 31st, 1964 were Dr. Jean Goins, Mr. Clifford Oyster, and Mrs. Carl Peters. Dr. Goins was a founding member of WBUC, and in the 1940s, she was a pioneer in what was to become the civil rights movement when she refused to move to a segregated train seat when they passed the Mason-Dixon line. Mr. Oyster joined the church in 1957 and was regularly engaged in building projects and general church maintenance, and remained a beloved member until his death at age of 93. Mrs. Carl Peters was actually Marian. We often had to locate the first names of women elsewhere in our records. Marian's husband, the Reverend Carl, was a member and ordained minister who was called frequently to the pulpit. There is no record of what exactly any of the original speakers believed, but it seems safe to say that their presentations were gratefully and joyfully received by their audience. Many more recent This I Believe talks are available on our brand new website. I am not sure that this was definitely the first This I Believe service. The early members of the boards and worship committees worked tirelessly to fill Sunday mornings with speakers, so it seems likely that this format may have been used in earlier years than 1964. But they didn't write it down. I light the chalice this morning in gratitude for all the WBUUC members, past and present, that have searched their hearts and been willing to share what they found there with us. Now I need to find out when it was changed to this, I believe. Please join me in the opening words printed in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is his law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another.
Please rise and embody your spirit for opening hymn number 318, We Would Be One. And now for the story time, I invite anyone young or young at heart forward if they want to come sit here and learn even closer about today's story time. Well, once upon a time, there was a minister in a church out east. We will call him today Mr. Church. On one particular Sunday, he was struck by how many people in his church had different beliefs from one another. This was a Unitarian church, after all. And unlike other churches, people didn't have to believe the same thing as others because they were not a creed-based church. Who knows what a creed is? Anyone? Yeah, I see a few hands. Okay, good. Some of you may have attended churches that say a creed every week. This might feel familiar to some of you. A creed is a statement of faith or a statement of belief that all the members of the church are expected to share. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, ours here, we don't share one common creed, but rather we are bound together by covenant. We say this every week, these words, and what this means is we agree to live together in a certain way, respecting each other's differences, seeking the truth in peace, but we are still held together by common values and principles. Well, Mr. Church, out east, was sitting in his sanctuary one day after the service contemplating all of this. And then there was this beautiful afternoon sun that shone, through the windows, right? And when this light came through the windows, the colors from the glass was just dancing across the pews and the chairs in the sanctuary. The whole room was filled with beauty. And these stained glass windows, many of them were like stories, right? This congregation knew these stories. They considered them their wisdom stories, much like the stories we tell here on Sunday mornings. And on this particular day, as the sun danced through the colorful glass, painting a rippling picture on the pews of the room, Mr. Church realized that stained glass windows were a great metaphor for the way we, as Unitarian Universalists, hold our different and various beliefs. You may have noticed this behind me. I'm going to light it up for a moment. So this is a stained glass representation of a chalice. It came from a beloved late member here named Ellen Schmidt. She gifted it to the church, and it currently sits in Amy's office. So this is the type of thing that stained glass can do, right? It can remind us about what we all share, our different beliefs. Many of us have different beliefs about God, about life, about death, about the afterlife, maybe even the origin of sin. What is sin? Many other things, but many of us have different beliefs about the religious or spiritual practices that keep us grounded and centered. And he, Mr. Church, realized that just like the room was made more beautiful by the different colors dancing across the pews, the congregation itself was made beautiful by the different beliefs dancing among the people in the pews. So just like many of you here today have different experiences of loss and joy and transcendence, and these different experiences have led you to different beliefs, right? Here in this church, you are encouraged to share those differences, to share those beliefs, knowing that we are made all the richer because of those differences and because of the different stories that come through our stained glass windows. Will you do me a favor for just a moment and look around this room to see all the different beauty around you, the different stained glass windows sitting next to you? And if you feel so moved, feel free to turn to a neighbor and thank them for bringing their light with them today. And will you join me in singing Go Lift It Up? As our children who want to can go to Kids Club, otherwise everyone else is welcome to stay here.
Will you join with me in a time for naming the sorrows and the joys that are on our hearts this morning? We will begin with naming the specific joys and sorrows that have been shared with us, your ministers. And then there will be a time for open sharing. We will enter into a guided meditation on gratitude written by Reverend Susan Frederick Gray and end with singing Call Down a Blessing. Let's take a breath together. I invite you, if you have something in your hands, to set it down. If you are watching online and in the midst of doing, I invite you to find a place of peace if you are able. Cast your eyes down or close them as we breathe together. Knowing that our hearts are big enough to hold the joy and the sorrow, we begin with 3 candles this morning. Our first candle is lit for the 10-year anniversary since the killing of Jamar Clark. This was the beginning of the Minneapolis Police Accountability Movement. 10 years since his light has not blessed the world. May we honor his memory with our work. Our second candle we light this morning is for all of the people who are undocumented, all of the DACA children who thought they were safe, all of the clergy and lay people who are protesting and saying, this is not okay. Specifically, the clergy who were arrested at Broadview Detention Center in Chicago this past Friday, and for all who are using their voices and their bodies and their presence to say, no, not on our watch. My third candle I light this morning for Transgender Day of Remembrance this Thursday. For all of the people whose light went out too soon, for the ways that living in this world as someone who is trans or non-binary is so hard right now, for our youth, for those trying to live into the fullness of their being, who are holy and beloved. We light that candle. Let's take a breath together. We hold in care a member of this congregation who is asking for courage as their most recent breast MRI post 8-month and 4-month radiation came back abnormal. We ask them to be lifted upon all hearts during this time of more tests. We hold in care this morning a member of this congregation's niece, Ashlyn, who will have eye surgery this month. We hold in care someone's brother as he struggles with depression. And we hold in care someone's son as he works to graduate despite illness. And now I invite you to name into this space and the space you are watching from sorrows that you want to have your beloveds bear witness to this morning. And we know our hearts are big enough to hold the joy and the sorrow, so we name some joys this morning. We lift up and joy Sophie, who went to Sophie's first UU Youth Con yesterday. Very exciting. I heard there were youth there from many different states, so good to get them all together. We have a joy of gratitude for the great give and gather last night. We have a joy of celebration. One of our affiliate community ministers, Reverend Ann Galloway Eggy, was ordained 25 years ago by this congregation. Blessings to her. And we are celebrating with joy that member Rachel Snyder is turning 94 tomorrow. You can clap. That's no small feat, turning 94. And now you're invited to name the joys on your heart in this space. Our theme this month is gratitude. And so I invite you into a practice of gratitude. You're invited to sit or stand during this meditation, whatever's most comfortable for you and your body to make you or to help you feel at ease. First, I invite you to take a few relaxing breaths. Feel free to close your eyes if that's most comfortable, or to leave them gently open. Breathe in a way that feels comfortable and relaxing. I invite you at first just to pay attention to your body. If there's a place of tension or pain, imagine breathing your breath into that part of your body. Imagine the breath expanding that area of tension, and then breathing out through that pain or tightness, feeling the muscles release with the out-breath. Breathing in through areas of tension and out, breathing through that tension or pain if you can. Now I invite you to bring your attention to your heart space. Breathe into your heart and be aware of anything that you're feeling. If you're feeling joy or calm and peace, if you're feeling sadness or grief or anxiousness, just be aware of it. Breathe alongside that feeling. Offer yourself compassion for whatever may be present to you right now. As you continue to breathe, ask yourself if there's anything or anyone you're feeling grateful for. Ask yourself in your heart, who or what are you grateful for? Is there anyone who's caring for you, showing you care, inspiring you, comforting you? Anyone who you love, who you are grateful for? Hold that person, those people, visualize them. Hold them in the gratitude that you feel for them and breathe in that feeling of gratitude. Breathe out that gratitude for those loved ones. I invite you to take a few more breaths, and as you do so, I invite you to think about anything about this day, anything that's happened or something that you might be looking forward to. Just be present and take it in. Maybe there's already a piece of gratitude from this day. Take in a few more breaths and imagine opening your heart space wide to everyone around you. Open up to that gratitude, even if it's complicated, even if we're experiencing other emotions. Be present to that and breathe with gentleness and ease. And as we come to the end of our meditation, as you breathe gently, you can offer a word in silence or out loud, spoken, a word of gratitude for these gifts. And now we will sing our middle hymn for this month, Call Down a Blessing. I'm going to sing it through first because there are a couple of ways we can sing it, and then you're invited to sing it with me afterwards. Call down a blessing, 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 call down. One more time. Call down a blessing, call down a blessing, call down a blessing, call down.
Today, our special collection is for Wakan Tipi Awanyagapi, or WTA. This native-led local nonprofit founded in 1997 provides environmental stewardship for Dakota land in St. Paul, and WTA's mission is engaging people to honor and care for our natural places and the sacred sites and cultural value within them. One of WTA's first projects was restoring the polluted 27-acre parcel, known as the Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary. The site holds deep cultural significance for the Dakota people. It is a vibrant sanctuary providing habitat for wildlife and is a public nature space. WTA manages sacred lands guided by Dakota values. They engage volunteers, tribal nations, artists, and ecological experts to remove invasive species, reintroduce native plant relatives, and connect the community to Dakota culture. Your generosity is deeply appreciated. As always, you can donate by placing a check or cash in the collection baskets, by going to our website, or by using the text to give option. The number will be on the screens momentarily. Whichever way you give, please indicate the keyword Dakota. Thank you for your generous donation. The offering will now be gratefully collected. First speaker this morning is Sue Kubik. Born Susan, but she never wanted to be called Susie, except by her beloved grandmother who called her Susiana. Her parents were Gordon and June. She's the sister of Nancy and mother of Gabriella and Marisa. She grew up in Wisconsin watching lots of sports and cheering for the Wisconsin Badgers and Green Bay Packers. Sorry. This is her story, and she dedicates it to anyone who has ever encountered unexplainable situations. Please welcome Sue.
My name is Sue Kubik, and my pronouns are she, her. And I want to have a special shout out to my daughter Gubby, who is here with me today, and my sister Nancy and daughter Missy, who are on Zoom. I love you all so much. Thank you. And this I believe. To be honest, I have been addressing the question of what I believe for much of my adult life. The simple answer is that I am not quite sure what I believe, but I do believe in something. The confusion of what I believe starts with my birth. I was born in a tornado warning, with my mother recalling that branches and debris were hitting the roof of the car as she and my father drove to the hospital to await my birth. My mother also recalled my father commenting as they drove that at least on March 31st, their son would not be born on April Fool's Day. Well, I fooled them and was born as their daughter, as I describe it, 3 hours after March. Not only that confusion, but the hospital was called Divine Savior in Portage, Wisconsin. The nurses were nuns in habits. The doctor was Jewish, Dr. Winkleman, and my parents attended whatever mainline Protestant church they could walk to. I was baptized in a Swiss Reformed church, and through the years growing up, as my family relocated when my father moved into different jobs on his journey to becoming a superintendent of schools, we continued to attend church regularly, although I remember we attended a Methodist church, a Congregational church, a United Church of Christ, and then 2 different Lutheran churches. My father, a combat veteran of World War II, was deeply religious, reading the Bible every morning. He had strong feelings about spiritual matters, and I recall him engaging in detailed conversations with pastors about these issues. My mother also had a deep faith, but I grew up understanding that while we attended church services, their religion was a very personal and private experience for each of them. They had known each other since high school and had grown up within miles of each other, attending the Swiss Reformed Church that I was baptized in. My younger sister and I were confirmed in the second Lutheran church my family attended after my father had a major disagreement with the pastor of the first one. As I had headed to college and young adulthood, I too sought a number of different churches, primarily looking for ones with good music programs where I sang in choirs and played piano and organ, and of course were nearby. I believed in the music, the singing, and some of the messaging, much like my parents had. I also believed in walks in nature and finding my own beauty in nature and the outdoors, rather than in a building, no matter how beautifully decorated it might be. After I got married and had my daughters, I wanted them to have some of the same religious experiences I had growing up. I found a church with a strong program for children and lots of music, and we were happy there for many years. I'll admit, though, that I didn't, however, think deeply about spiritual and religious issues until my beloved mother suddenly became very ill. She was hospitalized for testing, and I can still recall my father calling to tell me she had pancreatic cancer, but she was doing all right. It was 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, 1994. I had a difficult supervisor. My eldest daughter was in kindergarten, and my younger daughter was 2 years old. Dad and I agreed that we would wait until Thanksgiving and then come home. We planned that we would come home the day before Thanksgiving, after I picked my daughter up from a party they were having at school to celebrate the holiday. But Dad called me the night before, saying it was important and we needed to come home right away. I remember telling him about my daughter's party and that I would pick her up at noon to make the 4-hour trip home. I distinctly remember telling him I'd be home at 4 p.m. We were about 10 minutes from the house, when I had the most incredible and life-changing experience of my life. As I wrote in my journal at the time, I had a vision of a stairway of light with a shimmering golden glow. Standing, waiting at the top of the stairs was my mother's mother, who had died 8 years before I was born, and who my mother mourned my entire life. I felt great peace and have always believed that this was a sign for me. My grandmother was coming from the clouds from an opening I have later described at what must be the proverbial gates of heaven. She was joined by other angelic beings, and I remember the feeling of calmness that her mother was coming for Mom. I knew then that my mother's time was short, but I was not afraid because her mother and the angels were waiting for her. I wanted and needed my mom to help me be a good mother to my 5- and 2-year-old daughters, but it was time for her, after all these years, to join her beloved mother. We got home, and Dad had left the hospital to be there to greet us. We still had our coats on when the hospital called that Mom had passed. I had told Dad we'd be home at 4, and Mom's death certificate reads 4:01 p.m. In that time and now, I believe the angels came for her and she could leave once they knew Dad was not alone. My sister, who was flying home at the time, was initially upset that Mom had died alone, but I told her about my vision. I saw that the angels had come for Mom, and my unselfish mother, until the end, wanted to make sure that Dad was okay as she left. I have felt her near many times after that. Reading the scripture she had chosen for her funeral, I know I got strength from the sense her hands were on my shoulders. I know she joined our circle saying grace that first Christmas without her. Since that time, I have had several other difficult times in my life when I have known that I was not alone and that there were beings, ancestors, angels, whatever you want to call them, that protected me and comforted me and kept me safe when I called upon them for help. I have experienced what I call signs from above when I have asked for help or guidance in stressful situations. Monarch butterflies are one of the most reliable signs, whether they appear in nature, in books or magazines, or suddenly in something I'm watching on television. Rainbows, especially double rainbows, are also a sign that angels are near. When I have seen butterflies or rainbows, I have asked for help, and answers have appeared as to the best course of action. I had an incident where I ran out of gas in my car on a fairly deserted road when a man in a truck drove up and happened to have a gas can, so he could fill my car enough to get me back to town. I went to thank him and he was already in his truck driving away. I also had an incident where I was lost in a strange city and a man appeared and showed me exactly the way to go and accompanied me safely to that street. When I turned around, he was gone. My mother died on November 23rd, and the number 23 has also had special significance through the years. I now live in a townhouse at 1423. I had looked for a long time for the right place to move when I knew I needed to sell my older, multi-level, but much beloved home. I had looked at many options for several years, but when I toured this particular place, I knew it was meant to be mine because of those numbers, the 14 or 41, my birth date, and then the 23. I acted immediately now because I have learned to trust the signs, and I know when I am being led in the right direction. And then the church I had found and loved and felt comfortable with the teachings served us well until a pastoral change and a decided shift in philosophy left me once again looking for another place. By this time in my life, my sister and her family were living in Amherst, Massachusetts, and were members of the Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence, a vibrant and wonderful congregation where I was able to meet their beloved minister, Victoria Safford. After I knew I needed a change following the issues with the church I had been attending, it was following a conversation with my sister, who said to me that we had Victoria now here in the Twin Cities, and why was I even considering any place else? So I came to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church as a seeker, and I have not been disappointed. The first time I heard the words, "For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be," I knew that I had found my spiritual home. The music is wonderful, the choir has been a true joy, and while many of the staff members have changed, the overall message has essentially remained the same. And so then what exactly do I believe? That is besides angels, butterflies, rainbows, numbers, and signs. In trying to put words to my feelings, I was still feeling some confusion. So I turned to my love of music, and I found the lyrics of a song which was one of my mother's favorites. It is aptly entitled, "I Believe," with lyrics written by Stillman, Drake, Graham, and Sherrill. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe, I believe. I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why. I believe. Finally, words I live by that I found decades ago as the picture on top of a calendar. I have found these words to be so much of what I believe. They have been comforting in my darkest moments, and I have realized their truths many times in all the years since. These words are, happiness comes with the capacity to feel deeply, to enjoy simply, to think freely, to risk life, to be needed. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jean Doolittle. Jean is a lifelong educator, having worked primarily in the Minneapolis Public Schools as a school library specialist, but also as a gifted and talented teacher, professional developer, tech trainer, project director, and library systems administrator. Quite a handful of tasks. She and her partner Rod, partner in adventure, have been married for 52 years, have 3 children, 2 grandchildren, and 4 foster cats that came and never left. They live in a house that they built themselves on 4 acres in Ham Lake called Leapfrog Farm. Please welcome Jean.
Good morning. I love the opening words we say every Sunday. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love. Truth. Seeking truth has been a big part of the journey that brought me to WBUUC, and the nature of truth was a big part of what I contemplated as I wrote this piece. I know that truth and belief are related, and to examine their DNA, I turned to an old friend, the Oxford Dictionary. There, the first definition of belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. So, if I'm to talk about what I believe, then I should be telling you about what I know to be true. Whoa, I could be in trouble because being faithful to the definitions will challenge me to dig deep, but I need to do that. You see, I'm a word person. Words, their sounds, their shapes, and how they dance together to form poems and prayers and promises, organized to argue and affirm and analyze, pile together to create knowledge and history, like Ilsa has been searching for, to link the past to the present and dream about the future. Words are really important to me, and I think they always have been. It may be a genetic thing. My mother, the third of 11 kids, came from a wordy immigrant Catholic family. There are writers, storytellers, and talk late into the night and keep on till the morning kind of people. And I'm pretty sure I passed that on to at least one of my children. My oldest son, Shay, who went in 4th grade and participating in a vocabulary building class activity called Word a Day, carried not 1, not 2, but 3 dictionaries in his backpack to know he totally nailed the word of the day. Oh my gosh, would he survive high school when signs of nerdiness were everywhere? Well, luckily he was pretty versatile. He played a couple of things, trombone and soccer, and he thrived in his geekiness, and he found a circle of like-minded friends. In fact, when the TV series The Big Bang Theory appeared on our screens and Sheldon and Leonard, Raj and Howard came into our homes, I thought, I know these guys. They used to hang out at my house. Now, Rainer Maria Rilke advised us to be patient towards all that is unsolved in our lives and our heart, and to try to love the questions themselves. But my question is, can we actually know the truth? There are tools and criteria, certainly, and if we were in a science lab with Dr. Sheldon Cooper, we would use observations and measurements to determine what was true, but still be required to voice it as a theory, open to change with new findings in the future. In science, truth is a work in progress. In our everyday life, truth is often much more subjective, dependent upon so many factors, including things like our families and our communities that we were born and raised into, and even the physical limits of our sensory equipment. We can't hear like bats or see like eagles, and of our emotional capacities. Now, one story that explores the relationship between truth and belief has struck with me. Thank you. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? A little fire. I like drama, but yeah, thanks, Jackie. One story that explores the relationship between truth and belief that has stuck with me was about a group of miners who were trapped in a mine collapse. While they hoped that others would attempt to get them out, They knew their time would be limited by a shortage of food, water, and air to breathe. Among the trapped miners was one man who had a watch. Without outside light, the miners had no way other than this watch to measure the passage of time. To keep up the other men's spirits, the watchkeeper reported less time had passed than was actually true. Back at the surface, the rescuers worked frantically. They too knew how little time was left to save the miners below. Some families were already in mourning. When they finally broke through, the rescuers were thrilled to find that everyone was still alive. Everyone, that is, except for the man with the watch. The belief that they still had time left had saved all the men except for the man that knew the truth. Their time had run out hours before. Belief is such a powerful force and can actually supersede facts and truth. It is ultimately our beliefs that drive our actions, and truth is only tangentially connected. And sometimes it's even a hindrance if our beliefs are comforting and satisfying and the truth is disturbing. In fact, we often believe things that may not be true or things for which there is little or no concrete proof. Now, believing in God is right up there. Consider that we have the Bible, the Quran, the Book of Mormon, billions of believers throughout the ages, saints and martyrs galore, possible miracles, countless treasures invested in churches and cathedrals, and canvasfuls of amazing art in recognition of a God that we cannot actually see, touch, or find in a defined place or time. Now, while there's ample evidence that humans in the past and the present, and doubtlessly into the future, have consistently desired a connection to the divine mystery that surrounds us, there is less evidence that we can know the nature of that presence. Thus, the myriad numbers of churches, most of which Sue attended, and religious practices, and the disputes that arise out of all the truths we hold that conflict with one another. God, of course, in the abstract, is a glorious idea. I have known that since I was a 6-year-old in catechism lessons, learning about someone all-knowing, all-loving, and eternal. Always was, always will be. Oh, that was really heady stuff for a young mind to conceive of. The creator of heaven and earth, all the stars, all the animals. I loved animals. Wow. And his son was a really nice guy who encouraged compassion and forgiveness and love for all, but always the questions. God the Father appeared to be a single parent. Where was Jesus' mom? Why wasn't the Holy Spirit the Holy Mother? I was open to the idea of a majestic God, but it didn't take long for that 6-year-old to be confused. He was as big as the universe, but the churches could be small-minded, tight, and restricted. My parents had married when they were 40 and 50. My mother was a widow. My father was a divorced Lutheran, and the Catholic Church did not recognize their marriage. I saw that as petty, and I didn't understand. There were privileges for men and different rules for women, and all that sin and punishment, possibly eternal. And I thought a lot about what eternal meant. A loving God that somehow missed the prayers of 6 million Holocaust victims, but could be praised for your football team's victory. Religion could provide a solution to the uncertainties, and faithful adherence to religion could provide safety and security. You didn't have to search for all the answers. But sorry, folks, that was not me. I was a miner seeking the gold of knowledge. Though at times I was lost in endless spiritual tunnels. My husband and I joined a Lutheran church, a compromise between his Protestant upbringing and my experience of Catholic ritual. We do need to compromise to carry on with the work of the world, but that is not always the best choice for the work of the Spirit. It was fine at that church, nice ministers. I volunteered to do readings during the service and teach confirmation classes. It was almost comfortable and certainly acceptable, but still it's amazing how long we can use our time to build careers and raise families and neglect the deeper longings of our soul. For I knew that without the possibility of ultimate certainty, some beliefs were better than others, more life-affirming, more just, more simply right, in tune with the turnings of my heart. That church, while right for some, was not right for me. Perhaps you remember how Reverend Jessica found Unitarian Universalist through a test on the website BeliefNet. Hey, me too. When I found that UU matched my beliefs about 99%, I began to visit here, but without any real commitment. Wishy-washy was a good description. It took years, not committing, but leaning. I was changing like mountains change. But in March of 2018, I signed the membership book. Spiritual growth was now an action item. I joined Wellspring. I facilitated Wellspring. I learned once more about a place for prayer in my life. I ventured to speak in new ways. I remember when my cousin asked if UUs believed in heaven and hell. I replied that some might, and many others might not, but that really wasn't the point. Afterlife may be a possibility, but without evidence that it is a certainty, it's wiser to live an ethical life here in this world, not in hopes of reward or in fear of punishment, but simply because it's the right thing to do. With the help of another website, remember I'm a techie person, the other website was clearerthinking.org, and through that I have developed a set of personal principles. They've been tested by fire. But I'm going to share them with you now. I have 8 principles. Number 1, try to make the world a better, more beautiful place by honoring nature and all that lives. Work to minimize the suffering of animals and protect our planet. Never forget that life is precious. Number 2, live with integrity. Strive to be honest, fair, and decent. Stand up for my principles and don't be silent when I see injustice, even in the face of pressure. Think for myself, but base my decisions on the best available evidence. Care about what is actually true, if it can be known, but be aware of my personal biases. Number 3, strive to be fully present and authentic so I can live fully and with exuberance. Aim to be flexible, playful, and curious. Better to regret what I've done than what I haven't done. Every day can be an adventure, especially when you consider taking the path that brings you the best story. Weird can be good. And since some people have said I'm kind of crazy, I'm going with that. Number 4, be grateful for my life and my experiences. Strive to be healthy in mind and body. Take responsibility for myself, my actions, and my attitudes. Recognize the privilege of being alive and aware in a vast and amazing universe full of wonder and mystery. Number 5, utilize my talents. Continue learning throughout my life. Never stop seeking knowledge and truth. Never stop being fully involved in the intellectual heritage of humanity. Always try my best, even when it's not good enough. Be kind and respectful to others. Be generous with my assumptions about other people. because everyone has their own struggles, but also recognize the strengths of those around me and celebrate them. Avoid being envious of others. Number 7, appreciate art and beauty. Acknowledge creativity and practice it in all my personal experiences. Refresh my soul with music. Thank you. Painting and all forms of creative expression. Number 8, invest in quality relationships and strive to maintain and strengthen family ties and sustaining friendships. I thought after I had written this for the September Women's Spirit Group's monthly meeting that I had said all I needed to say. But then one morning I woke up with a buzzing in my ears. Not bees and not even bees in my bonnet, although the sound was in my head and has not left. The facts tell me it's probably tinnitus. The truth seems to be that this is one more sign that I live in an aging body and I have to adjust to one more indignity of time. But is that all? In our imperfect journey towards truth and meaning, is there room for anything else? Could I actually be tuning into the sounds of the universe at work? The music of the spheres? In our search for truths to base our beliefs upon, I'd like to believe that there will always be room for improbable possibilities, mysteries, and wonders, to hear amid the buzz the small whisper that is God, that is love. Yes, this I believe.
Thank you, Jean. Will you rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn, number 1028, in a teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment. Will you join me for our closing words? May peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage steel our will and love of truth forever guide us. Go in peace.